Hi guys, welcome to another edition of The Walking Dead and welcome to Sarah Says. So this episode had me cracking up. We've got season 7, episode 7, Sing Me a Song. Opens with Michonne alone and we see her, she puts her radio down, she puts her sword down, and then she's just dragging this dead walker that she's, disabled because we're already dead, but you know what I mean. She's dragging this walker by his ankles and you're like, what the hell is she doing? And then it just cuts to everything else in the episode. Well, she's whistling the farmer in the dell, which is kind of like the mouse takes the cheese, the cat takes the mouse, so it's a cat and mouse game. We should have known that that was a little clue that Michonne was up to something. We find out later on that she is setting a trap. She lays all the bodies of the walkers across the road and ends up taking the woman by gunpoint and says, take me to Negan. So at the end, you're left wondering, okay, what is Michonne's plan? What is she going to do? Because we've already got Carl who's confronted Negan. We've had Jesus who's traced Negan back to his dwelling. And we're wondering, they're all wanting to do something. So we're trying to find out what the ultimate plan is going to be. So Jesus is marking the trail with the syrup bottle in the back, and he convinces Carl that they need to get out of the truck because they've marked the trail, and Carl says, oh yeah, just go ahead, you first. Jesus gets out, and Carl stays behind and waves, and Jesus is kind of like, you got me. So Carl is on his way back. We see that Carl guns down 2 of Negan's men, and I guess it was courageous, but it was also stupid of Carl. I mean, I guess he went in knowing he probably wasn't going to come out alive, but was he really going to get taken to Negan and kill Negan before all of this happened? So it would have been a wasted life. Well, lucky for him, Negan's crazy, and also a little sadistic, but also a little empathetic. And I think that he is trying to groom Carl for his own purposes, kind of like to take Carl under his wing as his own son. It'll be interesting to see how Carl turns. I feel like Negan's already in his head because at the point where they're on the top mezzanine of that warehouse building and they're looking down on all the people and Negan is proving a point, how they all take a knee out of respect for him, and that's what keeps them on their knees, because they all follow the rules and he's established order. And it's kind of like he's showing Carl the ropes. He's showing him how he does things because he's going to want him to follow in his footsteps. And at this point, he's given Carl Lucille. And Carl very easily could have bashed Negan's head in because everybody on the ground was already on a knee. He would have had a few extra seconds before they came up with guns, if they even had guns on them. And he could have taken Negan out if that was his original plan, to kill Negan and to die while doing it. But he didn't. It was reminiscent of Negan giving Rick Lucille, and then his dad didn't do anything. So it's kind of like, well, you came to do a job, and then Negan got into your head, and now you haven't done it. So I think that was a really interesting scene. And then we see Negan, he's got a harem of clean, well-dressed, put-together women. And he shows that to Carl, and it's kind of like here is everything. This is my kingdom that I've built. This is everything that you can have. Negan said to him that he scared the shit out of him. He said, I admire you for your bravery, and aren't you adorable, but you scare the shit out of me. And I think that Carl reminds Negan of himself. Negan has these little glimmers of humanity when he made Olivia cry for basically saying she was fat. And he apologized for being rude, which you wouldn't have expected him to do. He's Negan. He owns everything, so he can say whatever he wants. But he felt a little bit bad about that. So you're starting to kind of see Negan's theory of how he's controlling people. He shows a little bit of kindness. He hands out a little bit of food, but he demands the respect in return. So we see Mark skipped out on redirectives with Amber, and Negan needs to teach him a lesson. So we assume that Mark and Amber are married. or at least together. And he offers Amber the chance. He says, you know how this works. I can send you back to work with Mark. And I thought he alluded to a kid as well, but maybe it was just the two of them. And she says no, that she doesn't want to work for points. She likes living the cushy lifestyle, being protected and being clean and having access to resources. And she knows that something is going to happen to Mark, because Negan says, to Sherry, have I ever hit any of you? And she says no. So he's not physically abusive to the women, but he's very mentally manipulative. And obviously he can't let this go, because Amber is now his, because she chose to stay and be comfortable. So he has Dwight heat up the iron, and he says, oh, it's deja vu. He burned Dwight's face for running away with Sherry, and now Dwight has to be the implement of torture, the same type of torture that he went through getting his face burned on Mark. It's just one more way for Negan to turn that screw a little bit with his right-hand man. And another instance that I think that's going to register in Dwight's head when it comes time to turn on Negan, which is what I really think is going to happen. I think Daryl is going to organize an uprising, and he's going to do it with Dwight. And then on top of that, adding insult to injury, right before that, when he's kissing Sherry and Dwight comes in, he puts a finger up and basically just says, hold on while I kiss your ex-wife, this woman that you love and care about. Just give me a second, because I'm not done kissing your ex-wife. And he does. He waits. He's got him so controlled and so whipped that, Negan knows he's not going to do anything. But I think all of these little things are getting to him, and I think it's gonna make Dwight turn. I really do. And so then, I'm sorry, I have so many notes. This was such a long episode, and it was so full packed with everything. All right. So Rosita and Eugene are off on their own, and Rosita wants a bullet. She scavenged this gun from the walker that she found, but she has no ammunition. And Eugene doesn't want to make the bullet because he feels like it's just going to get her killed and there's no master plan. And Rosita says everything to Eugene that I've been wanting to say since like day one. How you're only alive because you mooched off of the security of other people. You're a coward. And finally, do something worthwhile. Like, for once in your life, do something worthwhile. And I was like, thank you, Rosita. Thank you for telling Eugene to shut the hell up and make yourself useful. And so now Eugene's all butthurt at the end of the episode, like, oh no, you may not, you still meant it. You may not have meant the words, but the intent was still there. Shut up, Eugene. Shut up. Shut up. You made the bullet. Redeem yourself with that and get over yourself. He's such a crybaby. I really can't stand Eugene. Okay, so Negan decides that it's more productive and it's more fun, and I believe he even said that, to break Carl. I'm curious as to whether Carl is going to take to Negan. I'm starting to like Negan more and more, which I know is bad. He's the villain, and we're supposed to want everybody to survive and to get out. But I'm really starting to like Negan. This episode was full of funny lines from him, and I'm going to give you my 3 favorite lines at the end. But he is that guy you love to hate. He's a little crazy, but he's really smart. He has just enough empathy to know how to get under people's skin. And he's not taking any crap. And I think Carl has started to lose respect for his dad, because Rick is really not being a leader anymore. He's letting people take control, and he's not protecting his own anymore. And I think Carl is really fed up with that. So at the end, you have this absurdly peaceful scene with Negan holding Judith and Carl sitting next to him, and they're drinking lemonade, and it's kind of like the perfect family, but you know that Negan's a psychopath. It was just a really funny, poignant scene, I think. And Negan says, well, maybe I'll stay. So, you know, we're wondering, what is Rick's plan? What is he going to do when he comes back and sees Negan holding his baby girl? Is he still going to be a punk, or is he going to do something about it? Is there anything that he can do about it? And then what is Michonne's plan? So these are my favorite quotes from Negan. And if there's any funny quotes that you liked, write them in the comments below. But he first says to Carl, you do the same damn stink eye as your dad, except it's only half as good because, you know, you're missing an eye. I lost it when he said that. I know it's morbid and it's messed up, but that is some really funny shit right there. You do the same stink eye, except only half as good. Oh man, you know, he has Carl take off the wrapping around his eye, and he's picking at Carl, calling him a badass, and, you know, asking him how he feels about that and how it's hard to get the ladies with that hole in his face. And then Carl starts to cry, and again we see that he has a little bit of empathy. He feels bad that he made Carl cry about his eye, and tries to encourage him to be a badass and to leave the wrapping off. But that line, oh my God, that got me. The next one, he says, I can't do it. It's like talking to a birthday present. You got to take that thing off. I want to see what Grandma got me. I'm sorry. Oh my God, can you imagine? That's his idea of a birthday present. Like seeing somebody's gruesome, gross, detestable freaking eye socket. That's what he gets pleasure out of. Oh man. And then when he's got Lucille, that guy comes back in and he says, oh, you left Lucille out there. And he gives it back and he says, well, did you treat her good? Did you pet her pussy? And the guy just doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know how to react to Negan, and then Negan's like, a baseball bat doesn't have a pussy. Get the hell out! Oh my God, the way he treats people, it's so ridiculous. And then finally, I'm sorry, I said there were 3, but there were 4. Negan offers to screw Olivia's brains out, and she stops. She slaps him. She's insulted. He goes, you know, if you want, I'll make it worth your while because we got some time on our hands. I'll screw your brains out while we're waiting. She slaps him and he says, I'm about 50% more into you now. Just saying. I can't. It's too funny. It's so absurd and morbid and horribly funny. So what are your favorite Negan quotes? Did you enjoy the episode as much as I did? I'm glad. That last episode was a little boring. This episode was really packed full of a lot of stuff. So let me know in the comments below if you really enjoyed this episode versus other episodes, what your favorite Negan quotes are, and if you got a kick out of this as much as I did. So thank you for watching, Sarah Says.